Is there a presidential debate?
Yes. Real quick, we want to welcome everybody to the professional development. This is our first PD, our second all counselor meeting, and it's nice to see that we've got over half of the counselors in the district in attendance. So that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your busy day to be here with us. And we've got some presenters coming in that will help give you guys some resources that you can utilize to support your kids. Do we want to start with a quick intro from Sharon Rubalcalva, our program manager, permanent program manager?
Yes, permanent again. I'm going to soak that up. Hello, and thank you again for being here. We are trying to make these more prevalent to your lives, to your everyday lives. And so this is our first attempt. We're doing students and your health and wellness. Sorry, I have my eye on the waiting room as well. But I would be remiss if I didn't wish Allie Serda a congratulations on her 20 years of, she told me I had to do it or else she'd get mad. But we wanted to recognize Allie as 20 years. And I know that there's many of us out there that have 20 years or more. But
the intent was for
spotlight on Allie real quick. So thank you, Allie, for, do you have a speech? Or
yes, no, I wanted, the intent was for all counselors to get recognized, the ones that have 5 years, 10 years. So they did the whole recognition at the board meeting the other day. So 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, and 40. So congratulations to all of you who hit that mark.
And to everybody in between as well, congratulations for making it through the distance learning spring and continuing on with us in the fall. We really do appreciate it. We know how trying and fun these times have been. But yes, the milestone people, good job.
But on a serious note, I do want to say thank you for being here and taking time out. And hopefully what we have to share with you today is very helpful for you. And I don't want to steal Jason or Patience's thunder, but please pay attention because at the end, there may be a reward for you. So I'll let them expand a little more. But once again, thank you.
All right. So as Sharon mentioned, engagement will be rewarded during this presentation. Sharon, can you go to the next slide? Couple of housekeeping items. Bathrooms are out in the hallway, just down over there to the left. But we also wanted you to know that as we go through the presentation, if some questions come up, we do encourage you to click the link to the Google form there. That is questions that we can ask the presenters at the end of their speech, if time permitting. Also, Eddie and Marina are going to be manning the chat. So if you want to say something in the chat box, just know that Eddie and Marina will be responding to you guys. I think without further ado.
Let me add something real quick, Jason. And so with that being said, is you have the opportunity to chat with the hosts, but if you chat with Jason, myself, or Allie, you may not get a responses as quickly or at all because we are the hosts, not the moderators. So that would be just something to note.
So, all right. We're not ignoring you.
Yes.
It's just Eddie and Marina are manning the chat. We're going to move on to Patience, and she's going to start off with EverFi.
Okay, so EverFi, what EverFi is, as I talked to a few people about this, is that it is a program that can be used for K-12 counseling services, and it is a free curriculum on various topics. And so we have a video from EverFi that we want to watch to explain what EverFi is and how we can use that as counselors. And after the presentation, we can always follow up individually to see how it can be used at your site. So the video, please.
Sorry, I'm trying to do 5 things at once. Could somebody watch the waiting room for me so I can?
I'll watch the waiting room.
Okay,
Sharon, I have been. Patience, I have been.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We're both admitting people. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andy Hugenberg, and I am a senior schools manager with EverFi. I'm going to be taking a little bit of time today to talk to you about EverFi itself, we're going to take a look into the instructional resources that are available for you as counselors within San Diego Unified. And then I'm going to show you how to sign in to EverFi and actually get started so you can start assigning your students these courses as soon as possible. To give you a little bit of background, EverFi is an education technology company. Our main mission is to connect education with the real world. So we do so by providing curriculum and programs that are based on what we like to call critical life skills. That started out with financial literacy and has moved into a ton of other verticals like health and wellness, social emotional learning, STEM career exploration, and career and college readiness. All of our courses come to San Diego Unified at no cost at all, thanks to various sponsorships through banks and businesses. This is me. I am your school's manager, which means I am not only in charge of facilitating meetings like this, but I am also your support person. If you have any questions about course content, implementation strategies, or just anything about EverFi in general, this is the best way to get a hold of me. My email address is ahugenberg@everfi.com. And my phone number is 619-994-6800. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions at all, especially after this recording if you need any clarification or support. So going into EverFi a little bit further, we have 3.1 million learners that are taking advantage of EverFi right now. You can see that this student is holding a certificate. So for all of our courses, as students go through the modules, they are able to receive a certificate at the end to show they've completed it, which is great for college applications or job applications, resumes, things like that. These two middle photos and their numbers signify the partners that we have that are sponsoring the courses for San Diego Unified to be able to use our courses at no cost. So over 850 financial institution partners and 1,500 plus corporation partners. We have over 245,000 teachers in our network, 30,000 schools, and of the 500 plus employees at EverFi, over 150 of those employees, including myself, are former teachers or have worked in the education realm in one way or another. So the passion for education is definitely there. The reason why we create these courses and our expertise in them is 15 years in digital education. All of our courses are created with subject matter experts. You'll also find that each of the programs you access today are aligned to both state and national standards, which is really helpful for those of you who are creating digital lesson plans for the first time in maybe ever. And lastly, we offer a dedicated implementation team, which is a phrase that we use to explain a mixture of my role and our IT support. So again, I'm available to answer any questions you have, and in some cases even visit your classroom or attend a Zoom session where I can help students access our resources if you need any help with that. So we're going to jump right into things. I want to give you an idea of the different resources that we have available to you. We're going to focus on our social emotional learning courses, but first I just want to show you what I like to call our menu. This is a complete menu of everything that we offer. At the top, you'll see the different verticals that we're focused on. I might have mentioned earlier that we started out with financial education. EverFi originally meant Everywhere Financial. And so you'll see the different grade levels and the course title. I am not going to be covering the content of each of these courses, each of the verticals. As you probably guessed, I'm focusing on social emotional learning and a little bit about health and wellness. And but if you have any questions about the courses you see here, please feel free to reach out. I have found in my 3 years in this position that counselors are most likely to use the most verticals that we provide, simply because financial education, STEM career exploration, all of our verticals really focus on setting goals for the future, which is related to social emotional health. So don't feel like you are limited to our social emotional learning courses, but those are what we will focus on today. So just to give you a quick idea of what we'll be talking about, these are the different grade level courses that we have for social emotional learning. While we do provide a grade level recommendation, you are welcome to step outside of that recommendation if it makes sense for your students. I always say that teachers, and in this case counselors, know their students best. So we create that recommendation based on reading level, but if you have first graders who can read at a second grade level, you're more than welcome to use this content. If you ever feel kind of undecided about how that would work, that's another example where you can give me a call and I can give you a recommendation about a course that would be a good fit for your students. So we'll be talking more in depth about those in just a moment. These 4 courses, we won't be talking too much in depth about them, so I just wanted to make sure to quickly cover them here. Our health and wellness courses for the younger grades. So Healthier Me, we actually have an elementary and middle school version. And this takes students into more of a gamified program as opposed to the other courses that have a quiz and post-quiz format. This is a game where students are able to look at foods from the food pyramid and create a balanced meal. For the middle school version, it's still gamified, but it's one step higher where students are also given information about making healthy choices when grocery shopping with their parents or deciding what to eat for dinner, etc. Mental Wellness Basics is a wonderful course that works to destigmatize mental wellness and getting help for mental health. It provides a lot of information about the science behind basic mental health disorders that students may hear about. And it does a great job at just providing that in a scientific way so students understand how to identify problems that either they are experiencing or someone in their family or their friends might be experiencing. Alcohol education and prescription drug safety. These are somewhat self-explanatory, but they focus on, again, the science behind these topics. So students get an idea of the actual effect on your brain when you drink alcohol. And it also gives them information on the different laws that pertain to their age levels when it comes to drinking alcohol so that they have a true understanding, especially for our 12th graders who are preparing to graduate and go off into the real world. Prescription drug safety is excellent for students who around Red Ribbon Week, but it's excellent for all students because, as you know, this is a topic that's on the news often, and it gives students a really great objective background about why prescription drugs can be unsafe, even though they are prescribed by a doctor. It puts students in true to life scenarios, so they have to choose how they would react if they were offered a prescription drug, what to do if they find prescription drugs, etc. So all 3 of these courses that I last mentioned, Mental Wellness Basics, Alcohol EDU, and Prescription Drug Safety, really give students an objective kind of scientific approach instead of a just say no approach. You might have noticed also on the menu slide earlier that we are releasing a course focused on vaping education. Unfortunately, that won't be out until the very end of October, so right after Red Ribbon Week. But alcohol education, prescription drug safety, and vaping education would be a really great suite for students to access around Red Ribbon Week or throughout the year, of course. So now we're going to focus on social emotional learning as promised. For our elementary students, we have a course called the Compassion Project. Something unique about this program compared to others is it is predominantly offline, whereas the majority of our programs are online and independent. This course is meant to have a more whole child approach where teachers are showing videos to students, maybe in their Zoom session together, and then there are follow-up lessons for the students to do independently, Some of the topics the students cover in the course are defining compassion, empathy and perspective talking, and then mindfulness and the growth mindset. So if you are working with those second to fourth graders, this would be a really great fit for you. I have had teachers as low as kindergarten and first grade use this as well, because it is really kind of driven by the teacher. We have quite a few courses that for social emotional learning that work for middle school and high school levels. Again, we have those grade levels listed there. Character Playbook is all about building healthy relationships. So this is another course where there are true to life scenarios where students get to make decisions and strategize about how they would react about moments of peer pressure, or how to manage their emotions if there's a conflict, and how to communicate effectively when they are in situations like that. So it's a really great way for students to have guided practice in these very realistic scenarios. Ignition, the majority of students who access this course are going to be those 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, but of course it is available for 9th graders as well, and higher if it makes sense for your student body. But Ignition is focused on digital citizenship. It does a really great job at providing information on safety and privacy, talking about data protection. It focuses on screen time versus offline time, which is such an important topic right now with remote learning, when students are on the computer more than they might have been last year or ever in their life. It also evaluates digital sources and content, which is so valuable, especially leading up to an election, when students have a lot of curiosity about all of that. So this is another course, sorry if I sound like a broken record, but where students are put into true to life scenarios. They're able to make decisions based on what they're learning throughout the course. As a perk of accessing Ignition, you'll also have access to Get Digital, which was created in partnership with Facebook. And these are, you can think of this as the offline version of Ignition. So this is really great for, after you're with a group whole group in a Zoom session, these offline lessons and activities are done offline. And there's even more of a focus on evaluating media sources and building safe communities online, understanding digital social activism, and then also developing digital career readiness skills. So understanding that being online isn't all bad. There are perks to the fact that they are so resilient with using digital resources. And so there are, units that talk to them about how to use those skills to be career ready. This is a great course for lower high school students. It's called Honor Code or Actions Matter. You may see this listed as Actions Matter in your catalog when we sign into EverFi. But this course approaches bullying, and it does so in a very unique way. In the past, a lot of courses that focus on bullying talk about bystanders and bullying prevention, but this course has a different approach where it really helps students find leadership qualities within oneself so that they are doing what they can to not just stop bullying or to call it out, but to create a positive school environment or online community, whatever environment it is, where others feel comfortable being themselves together. It's a really, really modern approach, and students like, the positive empowerment and skills that they're given through this method. So we are now going to look at getting started with EverFi. The first thing you're going to do is go to your Clever portal and sign in. Once you sign in, you'll click on the Clever apps or scroll down to the Clever apps and find EverFi. When you click on EverFi, the first time you click into EverFi, you will be asked if you have ever used EverFi before. If you have not used EverFi before, simply click this, If you have used EverFi in the past, just put in the username and password that you used and click to link accounts. And it will do just that. It will link your account so that anything you had accessed before is still on your EverFi portal. So we're going to look through the teacher dashboard real quick. I always encourage teachers, once they sign into EverFi, to really just explore. It's a pretty intuitive portal, but I will be giving you a tour as well anyways. But feel free to maneuver around and get comfortable with things. I'll give you a basic tour of all the different options that you have, but you're welcome to reach out to me with questions if you need a little bit of clarification. So this is what your home page should look like whenever you are clicked on home in the top left corner. When you are on this home page, you will see all of the courses that you have added over time below. So right now, this teacher has added Future Goals Math. If we could scroll down, we could see all the other courses that they have. I want you to go ahead and click on Add Course. This is actually the exact same as clicking Catalog. So if you click Add Course or Catalog, you are going to be brought to our catalog. This is much like the menu that I showed you earlier, except this is where you actually add it to your homepage. So take a moment right now. You can pause this training and just scroll through the catalog. Find any course that sparked your interest that would make sense for your students, and you'll click Add below the title of the course. You will notice that some of the courses say Request below them. Pay no mind to that. You are still welcome to click Request for any and all of the courses that you want. Just know there might be a slight delay in having access to that course because I have to grant permission before you actually have it right there on your dashboard. Now I want everyone to go to the top left corner again, make sure you're on the home page. And in these sub tabs here, I want you to click on Classes and then Create Class. Another way to explain the Create Class button is assign this course to students. So when you create a class, you are assigning the programs that you've added to your students. So when you click Create Class, you will see a box like this. The first option that you have, which isn't shown right here, but it would be right above, is a drop down where you're going to choose your rostered students. Then you'll fill out the rest of this information, class size, grade level. Above that was intended start date. You can just give your best guess for these things. You're welcome to add multiple grade levels. And at the very bottom, you'll click Add Course or Add Courses, and you can add as many courses as you want here. So in other words, you can assign as many courses to that rostered group as you want. Once you click Add Course, you will click Add in the top right corner. So you'll just click on the boxes to add them all. And then be sure to click Create in the top right corner. Once you click Create, and you're back on this Classes sub-tab here, you should see your rostered group, the courses that you assigned them, and then a couple other buttons here. Edit would be how you go in and just edit the courses that you've given students access to, maybe add another class, etc. There's no real reason to hide this class unless you don't want to see it anymore. So if we're looking at these sub-tabs here, I'm now going to go over to the Students tab so that I can let you know that students will not show up on this list until they register, until they actually sign in and start working on one of the programs. A lot of times we have teachers go straight to students after creating a class and they wonder why that information's not there yet. And it's just because students haven't signed in yet. This is what a student dashboard is going to look like. So Their current courses are right there. As they complete them, they'll move over to past courses. They're able to click start when they're ready or continue if they've already started, and they can see their progress right here. You will also be able to see their progress by clicking on the reports tab in your portal. So now I'm going to leave presentation mode, come back and say hello. That is the basic rundown that I have for our social emotional learning courses and how to access Everfi. I totally understand that this is a lot of information at once, so please feel free to email me at ahugenberg, HUGENBERG @everfi.com, or call me at 619-994-6800. And if you have any other questions, let me know and I'll be happy to clarify them for you. Thank you and have a great day. And thanks for all the work that you're doing to make distance learning happen. Bye.
Okay, and so we know that this is a lot of information, but this is a program that we can use that's for K-12 that we can use to go into classrooms. One of the great things about it, because I've explored it a little bit more, is that each of those lessons is broke down into about 10 and 15-minute chunks. So when you ask a teacher, hey, can I come in and do a presentation? It's 10 or 15 minutes versus the whole hour that they may have the student. So we have a better chance of coming in and being effective and then being able to build on those lessons. Again, let us know if you have questions because it's going to be a work in progress, but we wanted to provide you with an online engaging curriculum with the students instead of just us going in and talking and letting them do whatever that they do. And they have pre-test and post-test, so it collects the data for you, and we'll work on it together. So we just wanted to present that to you so you know that that's an option. And so next slide, the next thing that we're going to be discussing is we have April from VIBA here. And we wanted VIBA to come in to talk about some of the programs that you can use to take care of your own well-being. Because we know as much work time as we spend working with students and making sure that they're okay, we oftentimes forget to take care of ourselves. And until we take care of ourselves, we're really not that good for anybody else. So it's best to be proactive about our self-care as well. So April, if you're here.
Yes, hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Is it okay if I share my screen to put up the presentation I have?
Yes.
Okay.
You should have access to do so.
Yep, looks like it. Let me scroll to the beginning here. All right. All right, so hopefully everybody can see my screen. All right, so VIBA 2021. I'm going to go over a quick overview of what VIBA is. A lot of times we find that a lot of people don't know what it is. So VIBA, Voluntary Employee Benefits Association, we supply your medical, dental, and sometimes vision if you are on benefits through your school district. That is us. Today I'm going to steer away from the medical benefits side and go more into the well-being side and what we offer for you, any district employee, and VIBA members. So VIBA's continued commitment to you. We need support now more than ever before because, as we all, I'm sure know, a lot of our foundations have been challenged. So why do we do what we do? Our vision is for our members is that our members are engaged and empowered advocates for their own well-being. Through collaborative partnerships, we provide health resources that are effective, affordable, and of the highest quality and value. So if you take a look at the little picture on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see that a lot of times what happens in life is that we're all given the same exact bicycle, but it doesn't really work for everybody. So our goal is to make the world a little bit more like the picture on the bottom, where you get a bicycle that's customized to you. All right. We are seeing the time of COVID. This is most relevant. We've made a lot of changes since COVID hit. We used to be completely in person. We didn't offer anything online. And our brick and mortar is in Mission Valley, meaning that it was accessible to some and hard to get to for others. COVID, support needed now more than ever. We've had 40.9% of respondents report at least one mental or behavioral health condition. And then you can see the breakdown there of people that have experienced anxiety or depression, trauma, stress-related disorders or symptoms, or increased substance use, and then mental health. And this is from the CDC. So I mentioned this briefly earlier, our foundations have been challenged. So our goal at the VRC has been to empower members with personalized resources to address real life issues. We usually see that people struggle in one or two particular areas of life, but COVID has really pushed that trauma and stress to a maximum by challenging every facet of our everyday lives. We've had to rethink many of the ways that we do even normal everyday things. So we have What the Strong Do to Rise. This is making your own self-care a priority, knowing when to ask for help, and giving yourself space for healing and growth. So take this opportunity to be an example of self-care and putting on your own mask before you can help others put on their oxygen mask. Here are some ideas for self-care. So this jumped a little bit into kind of what we offer, which don't worry, I'll mention several more times throughout the course of this little presentation. So some samples, you can do Zumba if you have sorry, a little tongue-tied. If you have Zoom fatigue, stretch breaks from your computer. We offer cooking demos for healthy snacks, lunches, breakfasts, you name it. We have a monthly calendar of classes. You can see this at vibaresourcecenter.com. Any websites or email addresses that I mentioned, I'll also put in the chat at the end of this presentation. And then we have custom designed programs and events. And then off to the side here, you can read a couple testimonials if you're interested. If you ever have questions about what you have access to or what you want to access or try classes, you can email vibawellbeing@mcgregorinc.com. So that one comes directly to me. I do a lot of planning for the VRC, but I also specialize in doing special events for districts and sites within districts. So a lot of the things that you see in the VRC, if you're able to plan a activity for your site, we can bring a lot of those things to your site, virtually of course, but it would be just for you and your site. Okay, how we can help members achieve their well-being goals. We have our virtual schedule of classes and programs. Again, vibaresourcecenter.com. That's where you can see the whole group calendar. We have on-demand content through social media. So this is things like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We have a ton of stuff on all of those. YouTube has a lot of pre-recorded content, so you can access it at any time. It doesn't have to be live. And then we're constantly putting out either little stories or updates on our social media. There'll be a slide with the handles on there as well. And then we also have some telehealth access to providers. So our group classes are available to any district employee and their family. Doesn't matter if you have benefits through the school, doesn't matter if you're on Viva benefits, anybody can access our group classes. Now our one-on-one stuff, so like telehealth access to our providers, those are for Viva members, and that's the one-on-one programs. Virtual classes at the VRC. So you can see here, these are group classes that are available to anyone, employees, families, students, whoever wants to log in can log in and do these classes. I'm gonna call a couple out here. Some of the fun ones that we have, especially for those of you who have kiddos at home, we do some little workouts for kids. We have kids Zumba, we have kids yoga, we have kids mindfulness. So really a bunch of different things, anything to get the wiggles out or even down to meditating if they're interested. And then classes for adults. We offer all those same classes for adults plus more, including cooking. We have cook-alongs where we give you the recipe and the shopping list about a week in advance, and you can buy everything and cook along virtually with our chef, or we have cooking demos where you can just watch her cook and talk to her and ask questions. We add new classes each month based on member feedback. So we currently have about, I think it's like 60 classes a week offered at the VRC. So there's really something for everyone, and we offer it at pretty much all times of the day. We've concentrated them around kind of the before work hours, the lunch hours, and then those after work hours. And again, vivaresourcecenter.com, best place to go. Offering personalized care. So these are those benefits that are only available to Viva members. So if you're on the benefits through your school, usually that will make you a Viva member. We have health coaching, nutrition, exercise, flexibility, dieting. We offer one-on-ones with a nurse care navigator. These are registered nurses, and they can help specialize in topics like stress management, family relationships, chronic disease management, financial stress, things like that. They're really great to talk to, and they can help you kind of make a decision about maybe what classes you'd like to look at or any issues that you may be having in your personal life. Back to that social media. So you'll see on the right-hand side of the screens our social media handles for YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Like I said, we put out little videos weekly, sometimes daily on Instagram and Facebook, and then we have tons of pre-recorded content on YouTube that you can watch at any time of the day, share with anybody. We'd love if you check those out. Some of the resources that we offer on our social media and on our website are recipes. On vivaresourcecenter.com, you'll see a tab that says recipes, and we have tons and tons of healthy recipes that our chef makes and are tried, true, and vetted by her. And I promise you, anybody can make these recipes. You do not have to be Gordon Ramsay in order to make a good salad. Meditation breaks, mini workouts, relaxation tips, and then we also do Q&A sessions. One that we've been running lately has been our Ask the Expert panel, nutrition, where we have our chef, a registered dietitian, and a doctor on who answer your questions about food and nutrition. Dedicated VRC website. I know I've said it 1,000 times, but it's worth saying again, vivaresourcecenter.com. This is where you can check out our group class schedule. This is where you can sign up for group classes or individual appointments. You can see our recipe library, connect with other well-being resources, and then keep an eye out. We're looking to update our website soon. It works just fine as it is, but we're always looking to make it a little bit better. If you have any questions, you can ask them now in the chat if that's appropriate, or you can always email me.
Hi,
again.
hi, this is Kathy. I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Are any of these videos captioned?
I would have to check.
All right.
And
Thank
April, this is Sharon. So thank you again for being here. But once again, how much does this cost?
Oh, good question. I'm glad you brought that up. This costs approximately $0 to you or the district. So these are all completely free resources. I should have let off with that. People might have been more excited. Yes, these are all completely free. There's no cost. They're super simple to access, and they're really open for anybody.
April, this is Patience. We did have a question prior to the presentation, and that was about, are our families and spouses able to get in Viva even if they are not included in our health plan? Like if our spouse has insurance through his own or her own employment, are they able to access Viva?
Okay, good question. So for these, I'm going to start off with these classes in particular, and then I'll go a little bit broader. In these classes, anybody can access them. Doesn't matter if you're a Viva member or not. Doesn't matter if you're employed by the school district or not. Anybody can access them. That's for the group classes. Back to those one-on-ones, that is Viva members only. So Viva depends on if your spouse is an employee of a school district in Southern California, then it's likely that they're offered Viva benefits. We supply the benefits for 64 school districts and the municipality of the County of San Diego. So if they're employed in a district, then they could access Viva, but if they're not employed at a district or County of San Diego, then being a VIBA member wouldn't be an option unless they are on your VIBA benefits.
Okay, and
I
then
hope
I
that
have one more question that might sound a little random. Do you guys provide services to retired staff members as well, or is that another agency?
No, so okay, that's another good question. So we do, again, these classes are for anybody retired, but we also have what's called the VIBA Post 65 plan. And that is a way, if someone retires from the school district, they can transfer directly onto the VIBA Post 65 plan and they would still have VIBA benefits. But I believe if there is a lapse between your school benefits and getting on the Post 65, then you can't rejoin. I will put the email for our Post 65 specialist in there who can answer any specific questions about that program. And then something else that I think we've seen a little bit from San Diego Unified is people who like retire early or retire like unexpectedly. That can be a little bit different. It really depends. I would refer you back to your benefits people at San Diego Unified to answer questions about what those benefits look like, because it's different for every district and it's different for like contract to contract. It can be different.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right. If there are no other questions, I will go ahead and stop sharing. I'll enter some of that information down in the chat box, and then Sharon, I can send this presentation to you and you can send it out if people want that.
Sounds great. Thank you again, April, for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again for having VIBA join us today and share those resources. I'm going to introduce Officer Ivan Picasso. He is going to speak with us from School Police. And Ivan, are you going to need to screen share or not?
No, I don't have anything to share on the screen.
Okay, great. So as you do your presentation with the group today, a couple questions that came up prior is if through your presentation, could you touch upon when it would be appropriate to ask for a wellness check from School Police? And then also, can you just clarify when sites should be reaching out to you guys to use your services? All right.
Okay, I can start by answering those two questions. First and foremost, thank you for inviting me to your meeting today. With regard to wellness checks, we were conducting numerous wellness checks during the onset of the distance learning. We were doing everything from, the wellness, kids that were MIA, not sure what their status was, they weren't connecting, and then also technology related, taking out hotspots and replacing the laptops, any type of devices that the students needed to continue with their distance learning, their education. And there was a process set up. It was through family engagement, and that has changed now. I've been told that now the district has been going back to the cluster model, and there are teams assigned to each cluster, and then there's team leaders per school. And if a principal receives information from the teaching staff that there is a concern, whether it's related to technology, related to personal well-being, toy weapons being displayed on the screen, all of that, they must first go through their school site representative, who will take it up to the actual team, and it'll be the team that goes out. And the change in the model came with, and to be consistent with the public's or the community's request to not criminalize these types of situations. They don't want to see police, or they don't want to see us out there unless they have, there's an absolute need that we belong there. So we are no longer conducting those. However, we are still doing the mental health. if anyone comes across a student no different than you would on the campus during the school year, it's an EP10 type of situation. Student is expressing, all the the red flags that, or actually verbally expressing that they want to hurt themselves, we will still go out and do the mental health evaluations the way we normally would. So I think I just answered the two. I started with the one and the two. First, you go through your school site representative, and they'll be able to differentiate. They know what they're supposed to respond to and when they'll call us. Anytime, obviously, there is a criminal act in progress, that you view through the distance learning evolution, yes, by all means, you call school police, and if we can't get there quick enough, we will send the San Diego Police Department. But the new model for this fall semester into the spring, if we continue in distance learning, is going to be to go through those teams that have been established. Were there any other questions?
No, those were the two questions that we received prior. So if there's additional information you wanted to share with us, you're welcome to do that right now. Okay,
I guess the primary reason why I was invited to this, to your meeting, was to share any trends, or specifically related to drug trends with our student population. And I was discussing it with other supervisors and some of our officers. Since COVID, or prior to COVID, we were dealing with the marijuana usage, with the alcohol usage, with the vaping, etc. And that was staying constant. With all the dispensaries popping up here and there, the kids now have access to better quality medicinal grade marijuana, and that was causing some issues throughout the district, specifically at the high school level. Since COVID, we quite frankly don't know. We don't know what the kids are up to. No one is reporting any type of drug, alcohol, both illicit drug and or medications, painkillers, etc. None of that is being reported to us. I don't know that we've been responding to homes after receiving reports, so we don't know what the kids are up to at home. So what I did is I did a little research, and it sounds that nationwide, the drug use per se overall has decreased. However, those students that are using, they're using it in solidarity, or not solidarity, but on their own, in solitude. They're not really, it's up to about 49%, just under 50% of most of students or juvenile drug use is happening on their own, and what's driving that is their fear of being infected with COVID, and the whole distance learning. They're spending more time at home, etc. It's still up in the I'd say 20 percentile, 20 to 25% of kids that are still using socially, but instead of face-to-face, they're doing it via Zoom or whatever social media device or application, should I say, but that's still going on. And then a much smaller percent in the teens that are actually, doing the face-to-face social gathering, wherever it is that they gather. But a lot of what's driving the, aside from COVID-19, the use of drugs or alcohol on their own is also depression. We have our kids that are depressed. They're usually, we're all social. We're all pretty much, for the most part, social beings, and to ask us to to stop our daily routines and our social networks, it's taking its toll on our students. So in a nutshell, that's what some of the research that I've read is saying. However, here at San Diego Unified proper, we haven't, I'm happy to report, I want to say that we haven't had very many instances where we have to intervene with regards to drug use.
Well, I do hope that's the case, that drug use has gone down. While you were speaking, I was kind of curious, when I think you mentioned it earlier, so when it comes to a student, maybe in a Zoom class and a teacher sees weapons in the background, were you saying that that'll be first addressed at the site level? And
yes,
then,
we would like for that to be, and it's tough. It's a fine line between calling us and not. We would prefer, or let me back. The reason why it's a tough call because the replica weapons, the toys they look so. That's why they're called replicas. You know, they look so much like the real thing. What do we have here? But unless the student is making threats, you know, and there is an exigency, you know, minus that exigency, we would prefer that that teacher reach out or have someone else reach out to the parents and say, hey, little Johnny or Sally, you know, we just noticed a toy gun or some sort of weapon in the background or in the forefront. You know, they're not, you know, is it real? You know, we want to keep those away from the classroom setting, et cetera, et cetera. You know, try to handle it at that level as opposed to sending the, you know, the police, whether it's us or San Diego PD, to their doorstep and knock on the door. And like I said, if there's some exigency, we have a student that is outwardly expressing to harm themselves, and you know they may be waving something that looks like that could be a toy, but it looks like the real thing. We definitely want to be called.
got it. I think we don't have any other questions at this time. So if we don't have any other questions, feel free, guys, if you want to add questions to that Google form that has been provided in the chat box. We can follow up with Officer Picasso later on, and we can get some answers to your questions. But if not, Ivan, did you have any closing words you wanted to share with us?
No, I just want to, you know, from school police, we're still here. We're out supporting the school district in any way we can. Things have really, really changed for us. We went from, you know, responding to calls, you know, as needed on our school sites, interacting with the school staff, with principals, vice principals, counseling staff, the students. You know, a lot of us came to work for school police because we love that interaction with the kids. So we're at a point where we miss that interaction, but we're still here. Like I said, we are conducting those home visits where applicable. Most of our support right now is for food services. We're still feeding a lot of kids. We've got about 82 sites that are serving 2 meals a day. So we're there providing support for them. We have a large homeless population that also you know, is drawn to our to those sites, and we're also assisting them, not so much in a shoo go away manner, but you know, bring some wraparound services for them and lead them in the right direction to make sure that they have, you know, something to eat as well. So we are still here, and we're keeping ourselves busy.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you for inviting me today.
All right. Yeah, usually when we're in person, we get to clap when someone's done, you know, speaking, but it's just a little different now. It's just silent and quiet. Thank you again, Officer.
Jason, there's one question. If a school is having a hard time tracking a student down, is there a way the school police could help the school?
Tracking them down, how most of the information we have comes from Power School, so we will only be as efficient as as the information in Power School. Although we do have access to other, you know, other databases where we can step up and assist school administration or a teacher per se, if the ones that are reaching out to us. We'll do our very best, but know that we are only as efficient as the information contained within Power School. That's why it's very, very important that we, at the beginning of each school year, that we make sure that the information is correct for all students in the event we need to respond out.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. All right, we are going to move to the Mental Health Resource Services, MHRS, and we have Janelle Chu. Janelle, are you there?
I'm here. Hello.
Hey, is Yuka joining you today?
I'm here. Good morning, afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right, you guys. We wanted everyone to hear from MHRS, the services that they're offering now, and also if a student doesn't, this was a question that came up prior, if a student doesn't fall underneath your guys' purview per se, what would be your recommendation to refer them for mental health services? But without further ado, please, Janelle and Yuka, take it from here.
All right. To start off, we have, Janelle and I have created, hopefully to help answer some of those questions, our department created a document with resources to help guide school staff on how best to kind of connect with whatever sort of service you might need. So I'm not sure if that screen is shareable, but I can certainly put the link in the chat.
I think Yuka, I think Sharon has it and was going to share it.
Oh, she is.
Ready.
Ah, very good.
So Sharon, if you have that available, if you could share that, that would be great.
Don't time me, but I will do my best to get it up as soon as I can.
Okay. Okay.
So I put the link as well in the chat just in case somebody wanted to take a preview. But hopefully it's categorized so that there's areas of kind of need or areas that might be of interest. And then you hover over those topics. And then there's a hyperlink that you can just, again, click on to be able to link you with that section and all of the kind of the resources in that section. Ah, thanks, Sharon. So this is what it looks like. So I think first and foremost, I guess I should probably introduce ourselves, huh, Janelle? So I'm Yuka Sakamoto. I'm one of the supervisors of the Mental Health Resource Center. I oversee more of the county contracts. So the Marcy Riley New Dawn is a county contract, or county collaboration. So I have more interface with those programs, as well as some of our other like School Link programs as well. And then
Sure, and my name is Janelle Chu. I'm also a supervisor with Mental Health Resource Center, and I primarily oversee the mental health related services program. So our students with special education services, and they have mental health designated on their IEPs. So I'm the supervisor for the program of the clinicians that travel around. We're at about 175 schools across the district and provide those specific services for students with IEPs.
So to kind of go back to your original question, Jason, is so on the table of contents, you'll see the first item is how to access mental health services. So, and then below that are both linkages to on-site as well as off-site or community-based referrals. So I would suggest that maybe the first point would be to look at the how to access mental health services, and it'll take you to a county generated page. And basically it'll help to kind of guide you on how to connect students with services, because school-based mental health services are not the only services that students can access at this time. And really, primarily it's driven by the type of insurance and funding that the student has. So if one were to click on the flow chart, you'll see that there's, in addition to MERS, IEP related services, or School Link providers, which are primarily Medi-Cal, you also have ways in which to access their mental health plans, their primary health providers, pediatricians, et cetera. And so those are all the different venues or different avenues in which to access for students across the district to access mental health services. Even though primarily, I think in the school world, we probably hear more about School Link and IEP related services, MERS, but there are definitely other ways in which to access them if they don't fit in either one of those categories.
Great. That looks fantastic. Thank you for sharing.
And then is it okay to maybe just walk them through this guide, Sharon? Would that be all right? All right. So that's the first section, is really to have the access services. And then we have kind of our list of referrals that one can make for well, if we were a brick and mortar, the on-site school providers. And probably the more commonly known ones are probably the School Link providers, which are formerly the Medi-Cal EPSDT providers. So now they're branded under School Link. And inclusive in those are all of the, like the Douglas Youngs and the Community Research Foundations and the UPACs, as well as our own SDOT program. So the reason why we have our SDOT, the San Diego Unified SDOT program listed first, is that because of COVID, there's been a relaxation on the county's part for there not to be these school limitations. So normally you only are assigned a School Link provider if you meet a certain threshold of Medi-Cal beneficiaries at your school site. So not all school sites in San Diego Unified have a School Link provider. And so that's really been restrictive when you've got a site that's like, I don't have one, but I really have a student in need. So at this point in time with COVID, the county is really just focused on access and trying to make sure that kids are connected, knowing full well, like as Ivan mentioned, that the needs are increasing because of the isolation and the increased mental health needs that kids are experiencing, as well as in the home, their own family members, and how that might be impacting them. So right now with COVID, we are actually as STOP able to serve any student in the district that has Medi-Cal, and that they're not limited by, oh, I have a designated provider. It really is just no wrong door. If you know a student in need and you need to refer that student to mental health services, you absolutely can do that. Naturally, we still do have the School Link providers that are at designated school sites. And again, that information is listed as well. But wanted to just share with you that some of those school sites that don't have School Link providers, there is still a way for your Medi-Cal beneficiaries to be able to access those services. And that contact information is listed above.
And just to add to that as well, in terms of those providers across the behavioral health system are providing services via telehealth.
Correct.
So they're utilizing video conferencing to provide these services to students.
There are some providers that have clinic open, that have on-site appointments available, but they're reporting that they're actually very underutilized. Looks like, just families are real cautious and are definitely accessing telehealth and telephonic services more readily. But absolutely right, Janelle. That would be the primary mode in which clinicians would be accessing the students.
Any questions so far?
No, and I wanted to remind the group that the link to this document is in the chat box, and I already see there's about 30 people following along, just in case other people wanted to follow along.
Awesome. And I just wanted to mention that we finally figured out the table of contents section. So if you if you go to the table of contents and you realize what you want is on page 13, you can actually go to the left click hover over what you want, left click the title, and then a hyperlink should appear. Oh, it's not working. Can you try left clicking, Jason, maybe, or is it not working?
Not for me, but it could be user error.
Can you click open link, Sharon?
So hopefully I'll look at that again, but it should be, if you hover over and left click, use your left click, and then you should be able to see a blue hyperlink. And then when you click on that hyperlink, it should take you directly to that section. And that way you don't have to scroll through pages and pages of things that you may not want. So just trying to make it a little bit easier. And then just in addition to, as well as on the spectrum of School Link, which is again a collaboration with the County of San Diego Behavioral Health Services, there are also TRCs available, which are the Teen Recovery Centers working around substance use issues. There's some, with COVID, there's been some transition, or there's been talk of transition prior to COVID, of being able to open up to non-Medi-Cal students. And there are some school sites that have elected to do so and be able to use their own independent school budgets to be able to access that. There is a change going over with the county to be able to make it a little bit more open, but with COVID and the state of county contracts, we're not sure whether or not that transition has occurred. But wanted to just share with you that there are substance use resources on site available obviously if we were open brick and mortar, for students to be able to be referred to. And those links, that link as well is listed there to help you identify what school site has those services and how to be able to access them.
And I think specifically McAllister Education Program, which is listed next on the list here, is one of the primary programs that have been working on that, and really for the idea of instead of suspension, really referring to prevention and, if necessary, treatment for these concerns. So that is actually in play right now, being worked on. And so as soon as we have updates related to that, we can embed that information here.
And just to mention that as questions come up or as additional kind of resources are needed, please let us know. We are going to continue to have this be a document that staff can have access to, and we will continually update that, just as Janelle mentioned, inclusive of any new uplinks to such as McAllister that will be added later. So hopefully this will be a user-friendly document that might be easy to navigate and connect you with whatever resource you're looking for.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And then we didn't want to bore you and go through each one of these, but I wanted to highlight just a few. But and then separately, there'll be a section for community-based linkages, and we've tried to kind of group them by by what might be areas or topics that you might be searching for. So certainly, like if there's students that are undocumented or military or LGBTQ, to be able to kind of have headers that might be able to support you being able to link those students with those types of services. So those are the links of referrals to community-based providers listed there. And then, Jill, do you want to cover the last section?
Sure. Lastly, in terms of resources, Yuka?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's lots and lots of resources out there. In addition, so here the first section in terms of Up to Us San Diego has a major, just tons of information on that site related to local resources, national resources, hotlines, and you'll see different categories listed there. There's also a county guide that is called, historically it's the Quick Guide to Services, but it's really the variety of services that are available in our community to students. And it really references primarily Medi-Cal beneficiaries and underinsured. Separately, there's listed resources for suicide prevention and one specifically guide for elementary schools. So some really good resources. Actually, Yuka, those are from San Diego County Office of Ed, right?
Correct, in response to the new assembly bills that have come out, right?
Yes. So there's some really good detailed resources in these links specifically. And then additionally, we listed some applications and web-based supports on the topic of suicide prevention specifically. So some good vetted applications and supports here that we can utilize with students as well. Also just some general information on psychoeducation, just some helpful things to be aware of. And specific topics there that are addressed, different categories related to different mental health concerns. We also listed additional applications related to web-based supports and just general positive mental health and wellness. So these are all some really great applications. I'm sure many of you have heard of many of these, but we wanted to make sure to share them with you. Also some promotion of safety and wellness specifically to our teens here in this section. So lots and lots of resources. There's also a section on resources specific to COVID. I'm sure you've seen a lot of those that have come out over the last several months as well. In addition to a back to school guide there as well. We also listed the mental health emergencies after hours information. So there's a link there to the after hours information for parents and for you to be able to provide for parents once we're done with our workday and a resource that they may need after hours. Crisis line information for those emergency type of situations. I know you're all familiar with the EP10 process, but that information as well. We also included some information here on VIBA. It sounded like they were here earlier speaking to your group. So this is some information related to their resource page, and I believe their calendar as well. In addition to some information related to the Employee Assistance Program, just a reminder to take good care of ourselves, you know, as we're all going through this as well, in trying to, you know, navigate this and navigating our home lives and our work. So those resources available for us as staff as well. So I know we went over, you know, a lot of different sections here. Are there any specific questions that we might be able to answer?
Yes,
right
I had a couple here. What was it? Oh, so how does MHRS work with school counselors, or how do we work with you? Would that be following the flow chart on page 2 of that resource guide?
Let's look. So MHRS, let me make the differentiation here. So MHRC is our department name, Mental Health Resource Center. And then MHRS is the name of our IEP mental health based service.
Okay.
So I know they get confused. So I wanted to make that clarification. So in terms of mental health related services, that procedure to refer a student for assessment for services is all IEP driven. So you would do the same process and prior to COVID is consulting with the site-based team related to a possible referral. So that requires, for those of you who are familiar, I'm sure, with special education procedure, it requires an IEP related assessment to qualify for that specifically for the MHRS, which is our IEP based service. For general mental health services, I'm not sure if the question was for the IEP part or for the general mental health services.
I think there's a lot of question and clarification that that we found over the years where, you know, counselors and school psychs didn't realize that like school link mental health or school-based mental health services could be offered separately from the IEP related services. So you could concurrently have a student have both services, one to access for educationally related supports, and then one to really address maybe home and community if some of that is you know, is identified as being impactful. So if one qualifies for an IEP related service, you know, they're qualified, you know, for special education and certainly are going to receive those services. You can also concurrently refer them to other providers if you find that they might maybe in need of more comprehensive supports outside of just the educational needs. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, and oftentimes there are misunderstandings or miscommunication from our outside agencies that sometimes gets communicated in an inaccurate way. For example, they will say we can't both be providing services at the same time, but a mental health related service provider that's providing service as part of an IEP is not billing Medi-Cal. There is no, so we, of course, we would want to communicate with that provider and align our treatment goals and make sure we're addressing things, you know, that we need to be addressing educationally versus home-based concerns, things like that. But we can absolutely be providing services at the same time.
Got it. And have all the providers and school psychologists adapted for the virtual learning environment? And so I guess, for example, are school psychs doing assessments for mental health resource services?
So we have, so as far as I know, school psychologists are conducting some portions of their assessments. I can tell you, so separately for MHRS assessments, our clinicians actually do those themselves. So our providers that are out at their sites that already provide those services do the new referrals. So they conduct their own assessments, and they do that in partnership with the school psychologists. So, so that is happening virtually. Yes, we're doing interviews, we're doing the best we can, observations online, but we are conducting assessments. Yes.
Oh, okay. And clarification question. So if a student does not have an IEP, can they get counseling?
in the other ways identified, right? Outside of the MHRS services, outside of the IEP services, you can absolutely refer them to any one of those referring providers and to have them access those services, provided they qualify and are eligible for those services.
Great. And with this virtual learning environment, there's, everything's electronic now. Can you guys speak on, I guess, data privacy, the sharing of documents back and forth via email? How do we protect, everyone and everyone's minds that yes, it's okay, the information's secure?
Yeah, I think Sharon's been in a lot of conversations with IDA around that, as mental health providers, we have always been operating under HIPAA as well as FERPA. So kind of the HIPAA being the regulations, the federal regulations around protecting health information for medical services, right? So we've kind of always had this brain of needing to be very confidential, which I'm sure as you guys have recognized. So at this point,
you want me to turn on the AC for a little bit?
Yeah, I wanted to ask
so I think at this
one sec, we'll wait for them to mute. Okay, thank you.
I think that we have definitely been cognizant of being careful of what's communicated over emails to make sure there's no protected health information kind of going back and forth over emails. But as far as the transition itself, that we understand that the actual system that IT has created within Sandy.net is protected to be able to share information back and forth. Obviously, when you send information to parents or to outside entities, that's when the protection ceases. But we were super excited that the new encryption system, Barracuda, has really allowed us to be able to then communicate and send releases of information, et cetera, one way to those external providers like the county or any community-based provider to get that PHI delivered to that person. However, obviously recognizing that without that similar software returning, that information coming back to us would not be protected. So Janelle and I were going to the office and faxing and sending ROIs and things like that. So we were really encouraged by there being another way in which to be able to communicate and exchange information safely.
That literally happened within like the last week and a half.
Yeah.
That's very new.
Yeah.
Well, that is great news. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. If we do get additional questions from folks, we'll send it your way and then we could share it out with the group. But again, thank you guys very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. And then again, for the participants, if you have questions, please use the Google form to ask those questions so we can keep them all in the same place. We are trying to respect you guys' time as well. So we would like to move on to the district wellness policy with Kate McDevitt. We've said we'd try to make this as efficient as possible. So Kate, are you there?
I'm here.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Yes, please.
And while I'm doing that, if everyone in the chat, can you I have a nature theme to our presentation today. So if you can just drop in the chat your favorite place to spend time outdoors. One of the things that we know about wellness is that time outside can really make a difference. I'm having a little trouble sharing my screen. Jason, can I share my presentation with you?
Yes, we'll
just drop it in the chat.
Sharon,
Jason,
will you?
I can do it, Jason.
Okay, thank you. And then Kate, just let us know when you want to go next slide.
Super, thank you. Sorry about that. Not sure what's going on there.
I see a lot of beach. I see a lot of camping.
Oh, Hawaii.
Oh, yes, Hawaii. Oh, that tugs my heartstrings.
Only if I could have got quarantined in Hawaii back in March.
They would lock you in your hotel room and you couldn't go anywhere. So it wouldn't be all that fun. You'd have the same view here.
Ashley's family has a condo. It would have been great.
But you're locked in still.
Kate, it says I need access.
Okay.
Torrey Pines. Someone put Kara Teschner's resort style pool.
And please also use this as a moment to stretch. Karen, I'm resending it to you.
Lots of votes for the beach.
There we go. Fantastic. Well, hopefully, just a quick reminder to take time to get outside this afternoon. So as I mentioned, I'm Kate McDevitt. I'm the District Wellness Supervisor for San Diego Unified. I joined the district in 2016 and have been doing a lot of work over the last 10 years to promote health and wellness with school districts throughout San Diego County. So with our district wellness initiative, we can go to the next slide, thank you. We're really trying to work collaboratively across the district to support the physical, emotional, and social health of our students, but definitely our staff as well and families. And as many of you know, we do that through the development of our wellness policy, but then practice and systems that make sure that wellness is happening in real time across our school sites. Especially this year, there's even more of a need to really focus on this area. So I'm going to do a really high level overview of some of the areas of wellness that we're working on. Next slide. So for those of you who aren't familiar, our district wellness initiative has 6 different components. I'm going to focus on 5 of them today. Our wellness policy, we have a council at the leadership level. We have school site wellness coordinators, then we have our site-based centers for wellness, and a big push for employee wellness. And I know you all heard a lot from Viva already. But I really want to stress that counseling and guidance and all of the counselors here are very much a part of this wellness effort. It is a collective process. You can go to that next slide, thank you. It is a collective effort, and I'm really grateful that we have so many counselors involved in this effort. So we have community partners, students, parents, and staff really working together across the system to create a culture of health and well-being. Next slide. And the nice thing is that over these last 4 years, we have actually been recognized, San Diego Unified, at the local, state, and national level for our wellness efforts. We have been documented as best practice for school districts across the country. So I'm really proud of what we've collectively done. And I think it's important to celebrate that. Next slide. So I want to just briefly mention what wellness looks like at the leadership level. Next slide. So we have a district wellness council that meets once a month. It's the second Monday of every month at 3 o'clock. We have over 60 members who attend those council meetings. We have 14 different district departments, as well as about 35 to 40 community partners participating. And this group comes together every month to plan what should wellness look like in San Diego Unified. And I'm really happy that we have 3 members of your department who regularly attend those council meetings. So Sharon, Eddie, and Allie, thank you so much for what you continue to contribute to the effort. And I really want to encourage all counselors, if there are things that you think are needed for health and wellness in San Diego Unified, please use these channels through your representatives to make sure that that information is getting shared. Or feel free to join us for a council meeting. It's on Zoom right now. Next slide. Wellness in San Diego Unified has 9 different components. So you can see here how those are represented. And all of this is compiled in our wellness policy. For each area of the policy, we have a respective council subcommittee that really focuses on that. So for social emotional wellness, counseling and guidance is a part of that subcommittee, and really, again, helping to create those plans alongside MHRC, who's just presented to you. Next slide. And one of the big efforts and pushes this year is that we'll be working to include more equity language in our wellness policy. So stay tuned for more on that, but I thought it was important to mention to you all. I know it's a big priority for our district. Next slide. I also want to make sure as counselors that you know what wellness looks like at the school site level. So if we go to the next slide. For every school in the district, we ask principals to designate 1 member of their staff each year to be the school site wellness coordinator. And feel free to use your reaction button if you are a school wellness coordinator or have been one in the past. Some of our best wellness coordinators have been counselors, so thank you to those of you who have participated. And we ask the school wellness coordinator to work to form a wellness committee at the site that hopefully will have staff, students, and parents, as well as our community partners, working together to really assess what is needed for wellness at your school and communicate that with the school community and plan and engage the community in that process. And we do that every year. So big thanks to all those who have been involved. There's been some really exciting projects over the last couple of years. Next slide. This year, because of the nature of things, we are going to be meeting with our school site wellness coordinators in what we're calling virtual huddles. So we'll be coming together with the school wellness coordinators on a more regular basis for a shorter period of time to really highlight some of the key resources and opportunities that schools may have and help identify resources for needs that you're seeing at your schools. So if you are interested in, or you see a need at your school, please make sure you're connecting and you know who your school wellness coordinator is. They'll be appointed in October this year. And then the school wellness coordinators, when they come to these virtual huddles, will be able to share those needs and get feedback. Next slide. In this COVID climate, we are scaling down this year to really focus on what we feel are key priorities for health and wellness. And so we have these 5 different areas that we're going to be focusing on this year with our school wellness coordinators, where there's a lot of alignment. I think the counselors, you all fit into a lot of these buckets, but mental health and well-being, COVID-19 prevention, physical education and physical activity, continuing to make sure that's a part of your life as well as your students' lives, social drivers of health, and staff well-being. So those will be our key areas this year. Next slide. And then as you're working with individual students, I want to make sure that you know about some of the resources available that you can refer your students to if they need additional support. So if we go to the next slide, we have in the Department of Nursing and Wellness 26 different site-based centers for health and wellness for students. So many of you may be familiar with our school-based health clinics. These are the sites that provide medical care. So if you have a student who may not qualify through a primary care, they can go to get their wellness checks at one of our school-based health centers. And please know, we're in the process of reopening those school-based health centers on campuses right now so that they're available to our students, not just virtually, but in person. And then we also have our Healthy Start collaborative sites, as well as our high school wellness centers. And these provide wraparound social support services. So if as a counselor, you identify a need for your student and they need to get connected to resources and you'd like a little support with that, these are, through these centers, they can help make those connections to partners. So if we go to the next slide, I just wanted to briefly mention that if you are supporting Hoover, Lincoln, Morse, Sarah, or San Diego High, those are sites where we have our high school wellness centers. And we have just launched our virtual wellness center for the 2020-21 school year. And you can see here that our 3 wellness center coordinators, Danielle Octon, Rashida Rashada, and Shelly Stinson, all of them work really closely with our counselors. It's really so much a partnership with your department, and we're really grateful for that and hope that we can continue to provide some relief and support to you all. Next slide. And then Viva has already done a great job, I know, talking about staff wellness. So I'll just mention very briefly on the next slide, at the staff level for wellness, we do, through the council, have a subcommittee specifically for employee wellness. So we definitely want to encourage you if you see needs for employees. This is a channel that you can share needs and opportunities with our districts for planning district-wide efforts. This year, we're also going to be having more staff wellness webinars on a variety of different topics that will complement but should not be redundant with what VIVA will be providing through the VRC. One of the first things that we asked VIVA to do was to work with us to develop the Maximizing Your Wellness Benefits webinars. So those will be coming soon. I imagine VIVA may have mentioned them, but they'll be maximizing your Kaiser benefits, maximizing your UHC benefits, maximizing your EAP benefits, and maximizing your VIVA benefits so that you really know what's available to you, because we have the most incredible benefits. And so if we go to the next slide, I also just wanted to mention that we do have a district staff wellness website where we're continuing to post new resources, opportunities, workshops. So if you need any support for yourself, always you have the VRC, but you also have through the district our resources as well. Next slide. So really that's just, again, a quick high-level overview of those. I really went through those first 5 areas. This is just really the start of what I hope will be a continued discussion with you all. If you see needs on the ground, let us know. We're always here. On the next slide, I think I have my contact information. So Sharon, thanks so much for the opportunity to share with the counselors. I appreciate it. I'm glad people are in the chat still thinking about the places that they love to go. It's good to have time to reflect on that too. We've got a lot on our plates right now. Meredith, thank you for the nice words. I appreciate that. And I'll turn it back over to Sharon and Jason.
Thank you, Kate.
Okay.
I was done talking.
Okay. Yes, we want to again thank you everybody for attending the professional development, and we were able to get in almost right on time. Eddie posted a link in the chat, and that is for a kind of a post survey for where you can enter for a chance to win one of 5 gift cards. So please take a look at those questions, and it will show us how you were paying attention, because these questions are all based on the presentations that were provided, and every person who answers the questions correctly will be entered into a raffle for the $5 Starbucks gift card, and we will announce the 5 winners in the next Counselor Connection. So please look in your inbox from Jason for that. And we want to thank you all again for joining us. All the questions we weren't able to get to, we will be answering later. We'll send those out in email. And like I said before, we will also be sending out specific things for EverFi on how you can connect with teachers to make sure that that works for everybody.
Patience, as folks are completing the form, can we ask Kate McDevitt some questions?
Sure. And everybody feel free to drop off if you need to go do something else. We understand, and this has been recorded, so we can provide that with you to you as well if you're not here.
Kate, I was wondering, if you guys are doing a virtual presentation, and let's say it was for a specific cluster, if the space permitting, could students from other schools participate or listen in?
I'm certain we could do that. And if there's ever any specific requests and we can help to coordinate things, Jason, just let me know. We're always happy to do that. Most of the wellness presentations for students are at the individual school site level rather than the cluster, but certainly that's something that we could explore for the next year. We're always open to new ideas.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm guessing we didn't agree on outgoing music either. Welcome to the jungle. Okay, I'll stop the recording.
It was the